There we go. Okay, I'm gonna get back to shop and get some voices heard. It's hit, fall's here, the rain's back. Rivers aren't full yet. It should be pretty quick. But anyway, I think I offered up a quick video to show just how big that quote cat, squirrel, and or bear cub was that was behind me on that old road. That's actually a road, not a pathway. Obviously, you can tell if you watch that video. And I had the opportunity to whip over there. I thought I would, just because it'd be kind of cool, excuse me, and show everybody as well, I guess, what can happen in video recording world, right? If you've never been to somewhere, if you've never been to a place, if you've never, familiar with the camera being used or whatever, and somebody posts up something online with a video or a photograph, believe me, it's unless you are there to witness whatever somebody's videotaping or photographing, it's very hard to make the accurate call, right? Imagine how many people will see something, somebody share it online, and then try to dictate to them what it actually was or wasn't. It's pretty tough. You gotta be there, right? Holds true with a lot of footprints that gets emailed in when it comes to this topic too, right? But anyway, how's that for being interesting? I went back, what did I go back? I'm pretty sure I put the camera within at least 5 feet of where I was filming from the other day, and then I walked 100 paces, and then I stopped, turned around, and then I walked another 50 and turned around, and then I went all the way to 200 paces and turned around. So there you go. That's how far it was. I haven't even seen the video yet. I guess I will before I launch this one. It'd be interesting to see how I compared to that black cat in the background, right? But anyway, I think I had a bunch of recent emails shared last time I was here, so I'm going to go back down into the waiting column, which is probably 700 plus emails back, and let it rip. Now, where am I? Alright, I haven't a clue what this is, but we're going to mark it as red. Alerting Sasquatch 2 upcoming storms in the world. Hi Steve, I'm a 65-year-old retired woman. Just sitting at home the last 6 months alone all day due to illness. Well, that sucks. I started listening to Mr. Ballin's stories and come across you and David P. This is not a story, but a dream I keep having as the world falls apart, now that I follow your channel. I believe, from what I've heard to date, that our friends in the woods may have a very sensitive or hypersensitive perception or ESP-like abilities. As your channel is so far-reaching, and so many other open-minded channels are too, could we ask all your listeners who are hunters, campers, hikers, anyone who wanders through the forest as they do so to mentally share with our friends about the storms to come. Radiation, fire, humans, and animals flocking to the remote forests, mountains, and deserts? Of course, they may already know, but this probably sounds stupid to you, but if we are someday to be friendly with the Sasquatch, we should start now. Still wrapping my mind around all this info, but it explains a lot. Thank you for letting me share. Alright, that's a little dark. Let's hope that that's not what our existence is coming to. But your email's been shared, and I'm sorry you were there all by yourself during your illness. I wish we could have helped then. What else do we got? Hold on a minute. Oh, what's this? Okay, mark this as red. Oops, sorry. Saw, quote, bright white, end quote, when I was shot from Cujo the cop. Holy shit, dude, you were shot? I didn't know that. Hi, Steve. Cujo here. This is a police officer, good man, who's emailed us in the past. I sent 2 other emails that you shared. I don't expect you to share this, but I experienced the white light that was shared in an email you read last night, December 3rd. I'm a retired police officer. I had 23 years on when I retired, 13 doing gang enforcement. In 2006, I was in a fight with a wanted gang member high on meth when he put a 9mm under my chin and fired. No way. I felt no pain initially. I didn't feel anything. What I did experience, like the email you read last night, was the brightest white light I'd ever experienced. Everything else was gone. Like the entire world was replaced by this bright white and no sound. After my recovery, I thought this must have been the muzzle flash. But after putting 2 and 2 together, I think it was something else. Let me explain. My partner and I were wrestling with this guy, trying to get him cuffed, and the next thing I know is I felt something cold under my chin. Holy shit, Cooge. I heard the first split second of the gunshot and everything went white and silent. After that, I lost about 20 seconds of time. It seemed like a split second, but my partner said after I got shot, I disengaged, tried to draw my handgun, then put both hands around my neck where I was shot. Took about 3 steps backwards and fell face first into the street. Oh my God. My partner was in a gunfight with this piece of crap as I did all of that. And my partner was hit in both knees. Even though my partner was hit, he still was able to 10 times the POS and kill him. 10x. That must be probably a mag dump, I'm guessing. What I remember after the bright white was being face down in the street in a puddle of my own blood that was still pumping out like a garden hose on low. And my ears were ringing, but I could hear. I tried to move, but could not. And it was then that a thought came into my head, I'm dying. At least it doesn't hurt. But immediately after that, another thought entered my mind. For years I thought it was my own thought, but it doesn't make sense if it was. My first thought of, I'm dying, was immediately followed by, no you're not. All you have to do is keep pressure on the wound, stay awake, and keep breathing. And that's what I did. Nothing short of a miracle that I survived. I just really want to know what happened during that lost time, and why didn't that bullet keep going up into my brain like it should have? I mean, my doctor told me it was because of my thick and dense jawbone, and thick, dense neck and jaw muscles from years of powerlifting. But I really think it was more than that. It was good ammo, plus P rated, but it was a hollow point. So maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe the bullet didn't have time to get full velocity since it was in contact, since it was a contact wound. A whole lot more to that story, but it doesn't have any beings in it. Don't expect you to share this, and it's fine either way. But if you have any insight on what the white light is, or how I could regain those lost seconds, I'd be in your debt. With much respect, Cujo. Cooch, glad you made it, man. Holy shit! That's just a That's one of the mother of all holy shit stories, right? You know, I don't know. I know a handful of people that are shot. Not in the head, not like that. Well, no, I know a couple guys who get shot in the head, and they're still alive, but not like that. That's interesting. I wonder where that round actually went, because you know as well as I do. You get there's nothing right there. That skips right between your two jaw bones, and there's nothing there in humans or in any other animals. But you weren't supposed to go. You're supposed to be here with us, watching this annoying YouTube channel, obviously. Glad you made it, man. And so now that we shared your email, I'll guarantee you, somebody is going to have some kind of something experience that related to what you just shared, and they are going to mention it in the comment section below this video. I put money on it. And somebody's probably going to as well throw down a YouTube link to some video to help understand what happened. I want to hear what happened. Obviously, I don't have any answers. I have no frickin' clue. The only thing I can add to that that's familiar with me is the majority of the people that I know who have been shredded by grizzly bears didn't feel shit until it came time to heal. So there you go. With confidence, I can tell you all, don't worry about getting attacked by a grizzly bear. It doesn't hurt unless you live. Right? Man, that's a crazy. I'll bet you got a shit pile of stories, man. Maybe one day we can bullshit for real. Maybe on here somehow one day and talk about it. You know, sorry, that's one thing I used to do when I go down to the States in between guide seasons. I get all these invites all over the place. The people I've met were amazing. The stories I have are, a lot of them are unbelievable without the photos. And one thing I used to do, I'd go to big cities in the US while friends were at work or whatever, and I'd just trip around. And I always went and saw if I seen police officers having coffee, like I saw some horseback police officers having coffee in Memphis. So I went over there and sat down. I went and saw the horses and told them who I was, what I did with horses, and sat down and had a great conversation. Learned a lot from them about where he was. I used to go and approach police officers that were eating or having a coffee, whatever, and bullshit with them when I was in different cities in foreign countries. There you go. So it's I find a lot of conversation was very, very interesting. And I specifically remember these two cops, I think it was in Memphis, we were having lunch, and they thought that I was absolutely crazy. One cop's like, man, you're crazy, man. You're crazy. Running around grizzly bears? I'm like, what? Because we figured out, I asked them if they had ever been shot at, and they both laughed their heads off at me and said, what? I said, we'll go to a dozen shootings at closing time tonight, man. And I'm like, what? Really? You guys have been shot at? And they looked at each other, started pissing their heads, pants laughing, because they've been shot at all the time. That was just crazy for me. And it was so funny to see their reaction because of the grizzly bear stories I had and how they didn't want nothing to do with that. But they go running around at nighttime getting shot at. Crazy. Yeah, our law enforcement officers in the big cities anywhere usually have a shitload of crazy stories, man. I'm glad you survived. And keep your eye out, Cooge, on the bottom of the video in the comment section. Okay. And I got a lot of emails down here that are just, a lot of people email and say, hey, you got to check this out. Hey, you got to listen to this. You got to read this. With lots of links to YouTube channels and shit, but. Okay, what's this? Oh, this is bizarre. These artifacts were shown to me by a Mexican family who unearthed them in the jungle down near Guatemala. They were found in a tomb 30 feet underground, accessed through a narrow tunnel leading to a large burial chamber. I've attached a few photos that completely turn the UFO narrative on its head. Holy shit, eh? That is something else. Bizarre. What a common description that's been shared, carved, drawn, even today, of what people call aliens today, right? Wow. That's definitely something else. Yeah, what else we got? Alright, Mark, this is red. This is a mixed bag today, I'll tell you what. This is titled Losing Knowledge from Aborigines and Elders. Lost Skills. This interests me big time. Hello, Steve of the Round Table. Hope everyone is well in these times. Australian Aborigines, like many other indigenous people, had extraordinary knowledge of plants and their uses. They would pound a particular tree bark to release a soapy substance that would create a lack of oxygen in a water hole, bringing all the fish to the surface for easy pickings. Now, who figured that out and how did they figure that out originally? Or the white sap of a certain plant that could make you blind if it contacts the eyes was used to treat the pain and infection of a stingray barb wound. Crazy. How about a particular deadly berry that had to be dropped in water, and if it floated, it would be ingested to bring on an abortion when in times of extreme survival, yet if the berry sinks, it would kill if eaten. Listen to those goats. They're in their pen and they can hear me, and they're scream bletting, bang, whatever you want to call it. They know how to scream it out when they want you to come and get them. And no, I'm not going to go get them right now. Now, if you just seen your friend drop dead after eating a berry, would you still boil it or see if it floats, just to see what happens? Is this how knowledge was dangerously accumulated? Safe edible plants and fungi may sometimes be discovered by other certain animals eating them, but the knowledge of using plants for medicinal purposes can only come with a ridiculous amount of dangerous and deadly experimentation, or perhaps some kind of inner knowledge. I firmly believe this is a plant, fungi, or seaweed. I firmly believe there is a plant, fungi, or seaweed out there somewhere to prevent or at least cure every natural illness humans may contract. I absolutely agree. This is probably one out there. There is probably one out there, or a good combination for every man-made disease. For every man-made disease too. For the better part, the Western world has been deceived into ridiculing natural Eastern medicines, opting for synthetic substitutes and supplements that are often designed to take more of your hard-earned money and your life. Just as science has replaced alchemy, religion replaced spirituality, kleptocracy replaced democracy, and indoctrination has replaced education. Hear, hear. Over recent decades, and obviously with advancements in technology, we become further detached from nature because it's not explored, studied, understood, and enjoyed regularly throughout so many schools. Something as simple as a day's fishing can turn into a far greater acknowledgement and understanding of the weather, tides, moon phase, food chain, the movements and migratory patterns of many creatures, and the role they play in the ecosystem. Suddenly we are subconsciously practicing a highly underrated skill. Complete observation of our surroundings. We humans have certain things in the past because we outgrew them, but we certainly shouldn't leave everything in the past as we currently are. Most importantly, wisdom from all our elders, as there is no substitute for a life, or more so, lifetimes of experiences and knowledge gained and passed along. That's where we are losing it. We are understanding our problems and faults, and it's further steps towards big solutions. Take care, everyone. Scott. Scott, appreciate you, man. That email hits everything on the head as far as I'm concerned. It's a lot. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. All right, what do we got? Here's another one. Mark this as red. Oh, I'm ready to fall over. I think I got it 4:30 in the morning this morning. And I haven't really stopped quite yet, and it's 4 o'clock now. This is titled 3 Bigfoot Experiences in Tennessee. I'm 55. My name is Jim. And my son Matt is 25. We have 3 experiences. I'm ex-military, 10 years, US-8F nuclear weapons technician, 463 with top secret clearance. Went on to work for Boeing and eventually did IT work for DOE in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. 30 years with the government. First experience around 2010 was backwoods camping out by Angel Falls, Big South Fork, Tennessee. I was alone. Estimated about 3 a.m. I was in a one-person low tent. I woke and was staring at nothing but the sound of my tent being shaken, 1 foot from my face, very angrily. I controlled my breathing as my heart was going up my throat. It was completely silent, and I never heard it walk away. It was basically a ghost. I'd gotten that strange feeling something was watching me that day. I never considered Bigfoot or such during those years. Never considered Bigfoot was in Tennessee. I prayed it'd kill me by the neck if it was going to kill me and not drag me off chewing on me. My mind rationed. It was a mad bear or something. I fell back asleep and that was the end of that. I didn't have a gun. Oops, I was lucky. Second experience, summer 2018. Son and I were prospecting gold in Coker Creek, Tennessee, north of Chattanooga, Tennessee, to give you an idea of location. Two significant things happened. One, a herd ran through the camp, and two, a bipedal creature ran by in the creek. The sixth night we were woke to hounds chasing something in the area. The sound of stomping feet getting louder and louder. A herd of something was coming. I think I've read this, but that's okay. I'm going to keep going. I have experience of what a herd can do. During Desert Storm, I was boar hunting in Balıkesir, Turkey. The Muslim community used pots and pans to run dozens of boars up the mountains towards us. I thought I was going to have to climb a tree. Of course, you could hear the ground, stick cracking and bushes shaking and all. I stared at the front of my tent, watching intensely as I knew it was coming to run me over. Somehow, I think they used sound to terrorize us. As it got louder and louder, it was like beating drums, but you can physically feel the pounding earth, very heavy, some weight of bulls or cows. Same weight of bulls or cows. I was just sitting there waiting and watching to die. In my mind, I was asking, where in the hell did a herd get loose in the woods? But it was also like drums beating, louder and louder and closer and closer. There was no sound of sticks, leaves snarling, or any ground noise. These things were heavy and solid, but I don't think they actually touched the ground. We joked and called them a ghost herd for a long time. They went through us like we were invisible. I guess they were in spirit. They never touched anything. It was all sound. Matt speculates he heard them running individually earlier across the creek and thought they eventually all got into step. He speculates there was about 10 Bigfoot running together. He had heard more than I did. I had to get control of my breathing. Matt was looking out both sides of his trailer and saw nothing. During this time, we were both frozen in fear, shock, and confusion and did not speak. Second part was the bipedal ran past us. Second part was the bipedal ran past us. We were probably 10 feet from the creek. Right up the ghost herd, I heard something running our way. Dutch, 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 and here it comes. Total time, 2 to 3 minutes. As it got closer, it got louder and so clear. It was not splashing or dredging water. The dogs were quiet at this time. Its stride was perfect and long. It jogged by us and slowly started fading as it ran up the creek. It was amazing because the creek was 3 foot or better in places and it did not slow or miss a step. It was perfect and clearly large steps. It sounded like it was making 5 foot increments or better. This creek is easily up to my knees, and I'm 6 foot, and better at places. We had spent 6 days prospecting this creek. It would have been twice my leg size to do what it did. It was an individual. My son speculates that one time 3 or 4 of them got into sync and also ran by and probably did. They are perfection creatures, high intelligent and so smart. We are just dumbasses compared. At that point, I had to check to see if I was dreaming and confirm the bipedal. I said out my tent window to Matt, "Was that 2 feet?" Matt said, "Yeah." "What about the herd?" I said, "Yeah, I heard that." "That was 2 feet, right?" "Yeah." I was so excited about how clear the bipedal runner was. I'd finally in my life confirmed there are creatures that must be near 10 feet tall making that kind of stride, and it was so smooth. Super, super exciting. Everyone says bear, deer, etc. I knew what I heard, and this was bipedal and strong and a giant. I did not imagine this. This entire event that night went on for an hour or more. At times, dogs ran something up the creek, and you could hear the dogs dredging water. It was very clear. I felt they were playing with the dogs, but occasionally the dogs did get in trouble. The dogs had been chasing things every night that week, and this is the first night they ran it by us. At one point, we heard a dog get kicked and go silent. It had a hoof bark as its air was knocked out. Then the silenced dog, we figured Bigfoot, picked it up and covered its mouth, because we eventually heard it barking at the other end of the creek. There were 3 dogs, and one was the main one because it was much louder, and it was obviously catching up to them at times. This was fascinating as we still sat on our beds, totally in fear and wonder. The next day we investigated and talked to guests at a cabin a few hundred feet away, and they said they came out with guns that night and didn't know what the hell was going on. I did find where the dog and Bigfoot had the little scramble in the grass on a bank by the creek. The dog prints were there, but no other prints, no deer, bear, etc. There were no tracks. It's all done by a ghost. This area of Coker Creek was where Cherokee Indians would camp for the summer, cool in the mountain, teepees as far as you could see. So this place does have supernatural abilities, I guess. So that was a crazy experience. Third experience was July 2021 on the Tennessee-Kentucky border, where we had put out trail cams for a hobby. It had been 3 years since the Coker Creek experience, and we had already relaxed and forgotten what can happen in the woods. I was backwoods camping and had a fire and dinner and went to bed. About 3 a.m. we went up to pee. On the way back in, I seen red eye shine. I did have a red light on. Entering the tent, I joked that something was watching us, and we laughed and went to sleep. I awoke to the top of the trees. Roaring as they were being shaken to hell. If I tied a rope to the ball of my 4-wheel drive Chevy and tied it high on a tree, I could duplicate it. We burn wood for heat, so we live in the country on a farm, and we are not city slickers lost in the woods. We have worked with trees all our lives. It was that powerful, and not something you want to wake up to while sleeping in the woods. I woke Matt and said, "What was that?" And he said, "Take out your earplugs." I said, "I don't want to." Joking, but I really did not want to believe what I was hearing. Are you freaking kidding me? I'm in another horror movie, but it is not a movie. The trees were being shaken very violently and threatening. It was about 20 feet away, and it lasted 4 or 5 minutes before going completely quiet. That would suck ass. No sounds whatsoever. It was a new moon, so it was pitch dark. No sound of it moving in the tree. Nothing. This is the horrifying thing. When you're desperately trying to get information on something and it gives you nothing. And the creek nearby was so quiet so they can turn off all the sound somehow. I remember thinking, God, that my neck would not make any noise. And I turned my neck. That's how freaked out I was. We did not move or speak. We posted 4 trail cams that day, and none of them was in our area, of course. At 55, this is the worst experience I've ever had. As I realized the terror/adrenaline/unknown in me was removing my strength to fight, I knew I had to stop fearing or it will give me a heart attack or reduce my ability to fight. I did not have a gun. Matt had a .22 pistol. I had my headlight in my hand that I had already turned on. That I held ready to turn on. As I waited for this monster to jump my tent at any second, I was resolved to see it before it killed me. I must see it. Maybe 20 minutes sitting staring into the dark and the deaf by the quietness, another thing happens. Something slowly floats past our tent. It had no steps. It had a digital/cricket sound. Tone was deep, 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 deep. 3 to 4 beeps start, stop. Matt spoke under his breath. It's moving towards the camp where we had fire. I was effing done at that point. I heard it. What now, an alien? I knew I could not let it terrorize me anymore. I knew I had to maintain strength to fight by hand if needed. I ignored it. When you're about to die, you learn to get real. I laid down, and if I heard myself breathe, I would wake up to make sure I had the headlight properly gripped, ready to turn it on. I lay there trying to figure if we could walk out back to back. Matt had his .22 pistol. I felt if we did not move, It had to make the first move, so we held our place. Here's some weird stuff. When the beeping thing floated by, Matt said it reached into him and tried to get him to vocalize. He felt it was vibrating his vocal cords for him. He was really messed with and tripping. He said he held his mouth tightly closed because he was afraid he was trying to get his location. Our tent was between two large rocks, so I think we were hidden. It did feel like they were looking for us. Matt also felt he was about to stop his own heart. He had stopped breathing completely and realized he'd better breathe. And this is the amount of fear and terror is pushing on us. It really pissed me off to realize it was that mean to us. Oh my God, sorry guys, I'm sucking right now. I'm so tired. Whew, there we go. It wanted us to die. So these things are not a joke or some fun hobby. You better be 100% in your spirit and beliefs if you want to go out at night with them. Also, you better be ready to die. If you have not had any near-death experiences, you better stay out of the woods at night. I've had 3 or more near-death moments. They help you accept death and therefore learn not to fear. And I agree with that one. Sometime later, the nightmares started to fade. Around daylight, a woodpecker spent all of an hour raising hell about something as it ran away. I knew we made it. When the morning light comes, it is like you're reborn after something like that. This is for the most part horrifying near-death experience I've ever had. And Matt thinks he almost died from fear. I think this is really his first real near-death experience. I've given you the basics of my experience. Matt and I both sat down into the full story. If you could share a link to my stories, I would appreciate it. As you do warn people, do not go into the woods at night if you do not have heavy firepower, as I do believe they can easily kill you. We do visit the area during the day, and we are gifting and such as therapy. It's important that you learn how to get back into the woods. It's important that you get over your fears. I do believe we are human, light man. We are divine man. We're the only creature that has God code/signature in our DNA. Bigfoot and these 5D creatures can see the light in us, our souls. If you're not spiritually alive, the light is dim. They don't mind killing a dead man, but they will be back off the strong spirit man because it is right and they know it. Stand and not fear. They know you are divine, but if you don't know that, then you are food. Sorry for the truth, but that's how I see it. On a side note, when I came back home, my wife said that we were white as a ghost for about 2 days. She had to walk around the house gingerly so she would not freak us out. Thank you for a place to tell our story. I need to have Matt write his story. He got brain effed bad. Jim and Matt, you can use our names. All right, I know I read that one before, but there's thousands of new people here, so there. It didn't fall upon wasted deaf ears, right? Terror, terror, terror. No thanks. Can I do another one? This might have to be a short one, you guys. Well, okay, I'm going to do just one more and I'm going to go in. I'm done. This is the first time I sat down in 12 hours. Yeah, one more. Panama experience. Steve, again, I applaud your support of the thousands of good folks sharing their experiences by posting with you. Your common sense approach to the discussion of the Sabbath being is most commendable. Thank you for your kind words, man. It's nothing. There's nothing here without you and others like you, right? Since becoming a member of the Round Table, I have focused on the numerous discussions and especially recordings of the beings' howls/roars that brought up a past experience that I had buried in the back of my mind. Here it goes. In 1969, en route to my first tour of duty in South Vietnam, the Army sent me to Panama for several weeks at the Jungle Operations Training Course located adjacent to the Chagres River in Colon Province. That's a different one, Colon Province. So the river's name is capital Chagres. Approximately 53 miles from Panama City, the capital city. One evening after several days of indoctrination before going into the jungle, several of us heard a single roaring screech from the surrounding hills. It was primordial and definitely made our body hairs stand on end. We asked one of our instructors what it was. He replied, "A howler monkey. They're everywhere." We accepted his explanation. This past week I googled howler monkeys and learned the following. These primates usually howl/roar in the early morning hours before the sun comes up, alerting others of their presence. They travel in troops. When the other individuals pick up and repeat the calls, we heard a single roar in the evening and then absolute silence. A few days later, he moved into the triple canopy jungle. On one occasion, the individual I was paired with and I hung our jungle hammocks and prepared for sleep. When the sun set and darkness fell like a curtain, it was like being closed in a closet. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face. Around 8 or 9, we heard something walking through the brush, heading towards where we were. My partner whispered, "Do you recon?" There were at least 2 that circled on either side of our hammocks, about 20 to 30 feet from us, before pandering off in the jungle. Neither of us moved except to unsheath our machetes that we had been issued, and I took out my kabar, just in case. K-B-A-R, one word. The army, in their infinite wisdom, had not issued us flashlights. I sure didn't sleep that night. I'm sorry this is a bit long, but maybe it'll help some folks realize that things happen around the world, and maybe induce someone who can relate to their own strange happenings in Central America. I'm 76 years old, an avid hunter, a fisherman, volunteer game warden, and not too overly concerned with what negative people have to say about the Sabe peoples. I believe and have your 6. Use my name if you will. I'm Steve Richards, a retired military combat veteran living in Charleston, South Carolina. There we go. And you are, I think, the first person to have shared a experience from Panama with us. How interesting is that? How interesting is that? And then how about the old hammock? Like I said that before, hammock in the woods? Not for me, man. Nope. I'm not going to hang myself like a human taco between 2 trees up here. Ain't going to happen. I'm either going to end up with grizzly claws in my ass, or I'm going to end up cradled in the rack of a moose, or shish kebabbed on an elk rack, right? Or who knows what, right? But no, I'm good on the ground. I want to be on the ground so I can be on my feet and be in control right away. I don't know how people do that, sleep in hammocks in the forest. I could not do it. I couldn't do it. No. But anyway, okay, anybody has some Central American experiences from Central America, especially Panama, and possibly share it, your comments in the section below in this video. I'm like 3/4 asleep. And then, or if you have something significant you want to share from Central America, you can email to sharemystory@howtohunt.com, all right? And we'll get to it. But anyway, I'm fading away. I gotta go. I gotta get some sleep. And then start getting my gear ready tomorrow so I can go back up to the middle of nowhere again. Get some soul food. I'll be back shortly.